They kill to breathe. If you wish to subdue this enemy, then you must exterminate it. This is a quote from 1981's Psy-Warriors, directed by Alan Clark. So I've been watching a lot of Alan Clark lately. He's a director who is best known for his work in television. He's a director who's extraordinarily provocative. He's very often very dark and disturbing in his subject matters. I've been working my way through the Alan Clark at the BBC box set from the BFI, and I've recently finished Psy-Warriors, and I was blown away by it.
Stephanie Ann Turner, July 23rd, 1954.
Please repeat that.
Stephanie...
Louder, please!
Stephanie Ann Turner, July 23rd, 54!
Truly, it's one of the most prescient films of its era. It has far more political depth than just about any film that's shown, let alone shown on television. And this was pretty usual for Clark, and was a hallmark of his to sort of get banned from the BBC, to be censored. Here we're shown a prisoner of war camp, prison of sorts. It's a really dark portrayal of something that only comes about in nightmares. Truly, it's something that only our deepest fears can sort of manifest, is that we get swept away by our government and become tortured endlessly until we reveal something that we do or do not know. And it becomes a question of, like, what did they do to end up here? Why is it that the government wants them to confess?
Most people do not know what they really want or what is good for them. Those who know must act.
And the cruel, naked portrayal, and I mean this in multiple ways, is truly reminiscent of the almost visual stylization and rawness of something like Salo, 120 Days of Sodom. It is almost like a Marquis de Sade adaptation brought to screen. And so most of the film is just brutal torture throughout the entire time. This is not light viewing whatsoever. It is dark and grim, as to expect from many of Clark's works, especially in the latter half of his career. And so we're given slight details to almost cue us in on why our prisoners are here. One of our guards guilts one of our prisoners by stating that they're terrorists, that they've killed children, that they've committed terrible acts of atrocities in the name of their country.
She had 2 children. She arranged to send them to Jordan to be trained along with Palestinian children to become kamikaze guerrilla fighters against Israel.
And so we're met with a bit of a moral dilemma here. Did these prisoners truly do these terrible, awful things to men, women, and children? Are they complicit in governmental terrorism? And the answer is yes. We don't find this out until much later in the film, but it's something where the protagonists are terrible, are truly awful people who have done truly awful things. And it makes us wonder, is this right? Should we be torturing these kinds of people in order to get valuable information that could be life-saving? And then the film almost presents itself as right, morally righteous, as if these people deserve it. But it never comes across as righteous in its presentation. Clark is very well known for his very cold and calculated style of filmmaking, in which he'll show rooms from a far distance and film in the corners of rooms, and will show people as objects, as almost playthings within a dollhouse diorama. It never for a moment lets up on the brutality. It's always cruel. And it's something that then makes it all the more morally dubious, until we start to learn that there may be more going on underneath the surface. We start to learn that our prisoners, or at least some of them, are somewhat complicit in their imprisonment, that the agents that are torturing them, that are imprisoning them, are there in training. That they're not there because they're actually an enemy of the state, but that they're there to become weapons for the state. And here's where the film morphs into something far more interesting and twisted. That they're not there because they did something wrong, but precisely because they did something wrong and that they have acted as state terrorists, that they may be subject to torture from other countries and other international bodies in order to get information out of them in similar ways that they're being extracted for information now. And this trains them to prevent them from actually revealing this information. That if England were to go under similar trials as the Nuremberg trials for international crimes that they've committed, then they wouldn't be able to give up information that their trained soldiers know well enough and are prepared well enough for the information extraction methods of other countries that they're not going to squeal. And so the state is not only aware of what they're doing is wrong in international states and affairs, but that it's completely illegal and that they want to cover their tracks, much as the Nazis tried to cover their tracks. There's a reason why a Mein Kampf quote is quoted in the movie. And so we're left with a completely despicable film, one with no good people. The people being tortured are awful. The people who are doing the torture are awful. And the people who are being tortured will go on to do more acts of illegal violence. The quote that I mentioned at the beginning of the video is in regards to the crimes that they commit in Palestine. That any of the dissidents that they interact with or that commit war crimes upon Israel are ones that are doing so in the sake of living. That they acknowledge that they're doing it for the ability to breathe, and they still wipe them out. In fact, it's entirely necessary that they wipe them out because there is no end to the violence when they can still breathe. For this body of destructive violence that seeks to end terror, they are never going to end terror unless they end everyone. And it again circles back to control. It's again a film that's aged so disastrously well. Something that we should have learned from back in the 80s. We should have learned far before that. We had critics of Israel and we didn't. And so we still have the atrocities going on today. And in fact, they've only gotten worse. And the state control in which leads us to being powerless to our governmental bodies have also gotten worse. This is an incredible film, as are many of the films of Alan Clarke. I would highly recommend checking out more of his career if you haven't seen anything by him already. One of these days I'm going to be making another video that's going to go into the extensive career of his works, as I've been watching almost all of them. So if you'd like to see another video on the works of Clarke, then please comment down below, leave a like, and subscribe. This has been Sessions on Cinema, and thank you for watching.